This building in Syria isn't what it seems. For years, it was known as a potato chip factory. But as anti-government rebels entered it last December, they found copper coils, air conditioning units, and piles of these plastic fruits, each packed with pills, millions of them. This chip factory is actually a drug factory. Up until just days before, it was hidden within territory controlled by Bashar al-Assad, Syria's brutal dictator. But after rebels toppled his regime, they've been finding these pills all over the place. A warehouse in Latakia, at an airbase near Damascus, and at the headquarters of the Syrian army's own 4th Armored Division. Evidence that confirms what many have long suspected. Assad was running the largest Captagon operation in the world.
The poor man's cocaine.
Captagon.
Captagon.
My God, Captagon here. This is the mainstay of the Assad economy.
So what is Captagon? What did Assad have to do with it? And what happens now that he's gone? Captagon got its start like many drugs do, legally. In the 1960s, a German chemical company combined amphetamine and theophylline to create a new drug that helped people stay alert. Think of Captagon as kind of like Adderall or Ritalin, but stronger.
It creates feelings of productivity, sometimes this feeling of I can accomplish everything. It's also a substance that staves hunger, as well as sometimes induces a feeling of euphoria or invincibility.
Caroline Rose studies the Captagon trade at the New Lines Institute.
It is very addictive. A lot of users report needing more throughout the day as they increase their tolerance, and oftentimes many users then move on to other illicit synthetic substances.
It wasn't long before people started using Captagon illegally, like in sports. New Zealand's rugby team is in black, France is in blue, and it's been reported that one of them took Captagon before this match. Can you guess which one?
Well, this is a different French side today. They really are fired up.
In 1986, the WHO declared Captagon too dangerous for widespread prescription because of its addictive and even hallucinogenic side effects. So the German company stopped making it. But Bulgarian traffickers didn't. Under the protection of their communist government, they made crude counterfeit kinds of Captagon to distribute to Europe and increasingly the Middle East. These Muslim-majority countries strictly ban alcohol and drugs, but Captagon's legal origins made it a little more acceptable.
It's not as, hard, so to speak, as other illicit narcotic drugs such as, cocaine or heroin. So as a result, Captagon was perceived with less stigma, and gradually there was a demand market that was cultivated by these criminal actors in the Balkans.
Kids in Jordan and Saudi Arabia began taking it to study or to party, and migrant workers began relying on it to stay alert through long shifts. By the mid-2000s, Bulgaria's government had been replaced by a democratic one, who began forcing out Captagon producers. This rising demand in the Middle East led them to move first to Turkey, then Lebanon, and finally Syria, where they found a government that would not only protect them, but join them. This video especially took a ton of research and required me to go all over the internet. And as you know, the internet's a little bit dangerous these days. A tool I've genuinely come to rely on is NordVPN, and I'm thrilled to have them sponsor this video. A VPN is basically a tool that allows you to securely connect to the internet via a different country. So I use it for things like accessing my Netflix when I travel abroad, or you can use it to compare prices from country to country, because especially now, those prices can vary. Now for this job, I use a VPN to access reports or websites that aren't available in the US. And the one I prefer to use is NordVPN, because it's fast and because it keeps me safe on the internet. Nord's threat protection tool protects me from ads, trackers, and malware, and can sound the alarm when it detects my information is in a data leak. Another tool like NordPass store all my passwords securely in one place. Now this sounds like a lot, but it's actually all packaged into one handy product, NordVPN. Right now they're offering an exclusive deal at nordvpn.com/searchparty. It's going to be a 2-year plan plus 4 extra months free. Again, that's only at nordvpn.com/searchparty. And of course, it comes with a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Now again, as I said, I genuinely use this product every day. I recommend it. If you want to support Search Party, the best way to do it is to give NordVPN a try. So I want to thank NordVPN for supporting Search Party and our work. Let's get you back to Syria. Bashar al-Assad will go down as one of the most brutal dictators in history. In 2011, he unleashed his army on Syrians that protested against him. When rebel groups formed, he let the Lebanese militia Hezbollah, Iran, and Russia intervene on his behalf, while he imprisoned, tortured, and murdered thousands of his own people. His neighbors kicked Syria out of organizations like the Arab League in response, and Western ones put economic sanctions on his regime, making it difficult for Assad to make money, which became an existential problem for him. See, he relied on family members, powerful allies, and a network of armed groups to stay in power. And they all wanted to get paid.
The regime then shifted to a strategy of finding a cheap, easy route that they could essentially try and line the pockets of these key patronage networks, and that was Captagon.
Assad's regime started protecting Captagon producers in exchange for a cut of the profits, then began trafficking Captagon through ports it controlled, and letting other groups like militias join in. Then it graduated to setting up its own labs to make Captagon. Assad put his closest allies in charge and let them profit from it, most notoriously his brother, Maher al-Assad, who made and trafficked Captagon with his own elite military unit, the 4th Armored Division. Before long, they were making Captagon on an industrial level never seen before. Seizures of Captagon skyrocketed, especially in Saudi Arabia, and it kept showing up in increasingly clever ways. Inside oranges, boxes of tea, even individually packed sunflower seeds. By 2024, Captagon was making the Assad regime an estimated $2.4 billion a year, and keeping everyone involved happy.
That cash was not spilling into public services in Syria. It was lining the pockets of individuals, allowing them to purchase Lamborghinis or outfit their luxury villas. It really allowed these individuals to sustain very luxurious lifestyles due to, the crimes that this regime was committing against its people.
Captagon also gave Assad leverage over his enemies. Through the 2020s, Middle Eastern countries struggled to treat the rising number of Captagon addicts.
ضليت أعطاهم لمدة 4 سنين. خسرت شغلي، خسرت أهلي، وخسرت كل ناسي. خسرت عدائي مع كل العالم.
And battle a rising number of armed groups profiting from it.
An airstrike was carried out, and the target was the home of a notorious drug trafficker. Sounds like that movie Sicario or something.
Nothing they did stopped the flood of Captagon coming from Syria. Only Assad could do that. His regime began signaling that it would be willing to help for a price.
If you want us to reduce the volume of Captagon circulating in the region, well, you're going to have to pay up through foreign direct investment or some sort of security package or some sort of deal.
Assad's neighbors began to seriously consider it. Here he is receiving a warm welcome from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia at an Arab League summit in 2023. After this meeting, there's evidence that Assad reduced the flow of Captagon, potentially a signal that he was holding up his end of the bargain, at least for a little while.
It was very clear with the labs we've seen that they were still producing Captagon in the end. They were not dismantling these production sites. They were keeping them on the side. And then once they got what they wanted, they could always, turn the spigot back on. And I think that they always kept that as a kind of a tool that they thought was a strength. But in the end, I think it was actually a disadvantage for the regime.
Because it didn't earn him any sympathy. In late 2024, Assad's allies, Hezbollah and Iran, had been weakened by Israel, and Russia was distracted in Ukraine. His army was a hollow shell after years of corruption and underinvestment. So when rebels in the north launched a surprise attack, it quickly fell apart.
The Syrian government says its army has made a tactical retreat, but it's clearly abandoned both weapons and ammunition in a hurry.
As the rebels raced towards Damascus, Assad asked his neighbors for help, but none offered him any. So he fled. Now Syria is liberated, but Assad's Captagon empire is up for grabs. So I was actually looking into Captagon before Assad fell, but I knew I had to do this story when I saw this. In his very first speech since entering Damascus, Syria's new leader not only mentions Captagon, but pledges to eradicate it. And so far, he's made decent progress. His rebel group called HTS is exposing and destroying many of the regime's labs. They're drastically reducing the supply of Captagon in the region, But it's just the easy part. The hard part will be eliminating the many medium and small-time producers who can move to more remote regions of Syria or into neighboring countries.
I think that we're going to see Captagon fragment. I don't think that there's going to be an actor that will, for example, take over a potato chip factory like the one that we saw in Duma and replicate it on that scale. But I think we're going to see many actors, until the economic situation in Syria resolves, resort to small-scale manufacturing and trafficking.
Plus, Captagon will also lead users to seek alternatives like crystal meth, which is already very popular in other parts of the region.
Methamphetamine is much more addictive. Its effects are a lot more harmful. And I don't think that regional actors are prepared. They weren't prepared with Captagon, but this really is going to dramatically change how they are dealing with rehabilitation and recovery and even harm reduction.
Even with him gone, Assad's Captagon empire is threatening the hopes of a peaceful Syria. And the chaos it's already sowing across the Middle East may just be the beginning. All right, thanks so much for watching. That's our episode for this week. If you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe now. This is Search Party. We cover sports and geopolitics. We're back in 2 weeks with a great story I think you're gonna like a lot. Thanks so much for those of you that wrote in after our sumo story. I got like 60 or 70 story ideas. So if you got an idea for a story, send me an email, sam@searchparty.ch, or tweet at me. Some great ideas in there. I'm looking forward to doing some of them. All right, thanks very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.